everybody, welcome to today's episode in Pilates. I'm Kat from Dancesation and we're going to break down how to properly stabilize and anchor when you do Pilates. Have fun! The first and most important position is to anchor into the floor, or you can also think of it as connecting into the floor. Now, each person at home will have different muscle imbalances or different postural problems, so you're not necessarily going to look exactly like I do when you lie flat on the floor or flat on your mat at home, but I'm going to cover everything from the top to the bottom. So be sure to focus, especially in the areas that you feel are difficult for you to get. Let's start with the head. Most people will go and lie in this position, and then they will look like this, with the chin up to the ceiling. Be sure to lengthen your spine and your neck at the back and make a soft double chin as you put your head down. It's almost as if you want to put the base of your skull into the floor rather than the top part where you would normally make a ponytail if you had long hair. So be sure to lengthen the neck, almost as if you put the base of your skull into the floor and make a soft double chin. The next area where people struggle with are the shoulders. Either the shoulders are in the air like this, or they're up close to the ears like this. So firstly, as you lay down there, reach with your fingertips towards your toes so that you can get your shoulders away from your ears. And now get the feeling of pulling your shoulder blades at the back together towards each other and down towards your bum. You will feel that this is pulling your shoulders open kind of automatically. And remember to keep the double chin. Now, if this is difficult for you, then don't worry, you're not abnormal. This is difficult for a lot of people. Because of the positions we sit in at work or how kids sit at school in front of their desks, your muscles on your chest in the front shortens and your shoulder blades at the back weakens, and it causes you to pull your shoulders to the front. Also, if you stress a lot, we tend to do this. So this is why this is the more natural, or it feels like the more comfortable position for you. But trust me, it's not the correct position. So pull the shoulders away from the ears and shoulder blades towards each other to open the shoulders as much as you can and keep the double chin. The next part we're going to focus on is your rib cage. Now, most of the people will lie there looking something like this. Now, I'm a good example of how it shouldn't look. People tend to open their rib cage and pick it up, especially when they breathe. When they inhale, they open the chest or they open the rib cage as they inhale to make space for the lungs to expand. And then it softly drops back when they exhale, and then the moment they inhale, whoops, everything opens up again. Now what you want to do is contract your rib cage in and towards each other and hold it there while breathing. In other words, you're not allowed to open up each time you inhale and close when you exhale. Think of inhaling as deep as you can, and now as you exhale, press the ribs close and down as you press all the air out of your lungs. And now try to keep those ribs closed when you inhale again. And exhale and squeeze them closer even more. It's almost as if when breathing, you rather want to exhale here at your back into the floor than exhaling and inhaling on top. So, let's go from the top again. First, get a long neck with the double chin. Pull the shoulders away from the ears and shoulder blades together so that the shoulders can go down to the floor. Inhale, and on the exhale, close your rib cage and try to keep it closed as much as possible. Now, one point where people struggle, they get the shoulders open nicely, but then the moment when they close the rib cage, they tend to lose the shoulders and they pick up again. So be sure to pull on the shoulders to the floor and the ribs down without losing one or the other. Now, next part we're going to focus on is the pelvic area and also the gap underneath the lower back. Now, some people will have a flexible lower back. So when they lie on the floor, you will see they relax into the mat completely. I'm only taking away my arm for the purposes of you to see what's happening here. Other people tend to have a big gap in their lower back. So when you tell them to lie flat on the floor, they tend to do this. And there's a big gap underneath. Now, you want to have a gap underneath your lower back, but not too big and not too small. You have to have your pelvis in its most natural position when you lie down, and then the gap will be there automatically. Now, how to get your pelvis to be level? An easy thing is to get a level and put it there. Or you can look and see if it's level. And be sure not to lie too much to the one side or too much to the other side. You'd want to keep it as flat as possible. Also, do not push your belly button to the ceiling, nor pick your tailbone off of the floor. So, make a diamond like this with your hands and go and put it on your pelvis. And now you can feel in which direction your pelvis is tilting. Be sure that your thumb and index fingers are at the same level. If your thumb feels lower than your index fingers, then you're pressing your lower back into the floor, and you need to level it out by taking your tailbone back to the floor and get a slight gap underneath the back. Should you feel that your index fingers are lower than your thumb, then it means the gap underneath your lower back is way too big. Then you need to pick up your tailbone away from the floor and press your lower back a little bit towards the floor so that it levels out. Also, the palms of your right hand and left hand should feel level. The one shouldn't be lower or higher than the other. Now, in order to keep your pelvis still in this position, you're going to do an abdominal activation that we call a zip up. So, after you've gone through all the trouble to get a double chin, to open the shoulders, to close the ribs, now if you think of pulling your tummy muscles in, that's going to happen. And we do not want you to pull in. We want you to think of pulling up. So, keep the pelvis level and activate your abdominals up towards your rib cage, and then close the rib cage to keep the abdominals there. Now, as you lie there, be sure to squeeze your bum muscles as well and your pelvic floor muscles. For the pelvic floor muscles, it should almost feel as if you're squeezing a wee to keep all and everything inside. Always remember to keep your legs hip width apart. Hip width means that from your hip bones, if you look at them, you should be able to see your knees in the same line as your hips. Be careful not to turn the knees in or out. Your feet should also be in line with your knees. Try to get weight on your heels and on all 10 toes, and slightly activate this bridge underneath your foot as you lie there. So now you've got a connection into the floor at the lower base of your skull, your shoulder blades, your arms, your rib cage, your zip up with a slight gap underneath your lower back. Your bum is squeezed, your feet are activated, and you've got pressure on your heels and your toes. Now inhale through the nose and exhale and activate all the muscles we've just been talking about, or the parts of your body that you need to focus on. Lying there can either be easy if your muscles are already strong, or if your body is used to a bad posture, this might feel like a gym workout on its own. So start by getting yourself ready for Pilates by just being able to lie in this position, and eventually you will realize, but the more you practice to lie in this position with everything activated, the easier it will become over time.